And as MPs worry about how their proposed pay rise plays in their constituencies, new figures show that average earnings for everyone else rose by less than the rate of inflation for the 5th year running. But while this pay gap is closing, the male-female pay gap unexpectedly widened. Here's our economics editor, Faisal Islam.
Harlow, Essex. The Christmas shopping rush yet to explode into life. But here you might begin to see a fundamental change to Britain's post-crisis economic landscape. This is the biggest survey of wages and earnings in Britain, surveying hundreds of thousands of data points given to the taxman. And what it shows is that we've endured the 5th year where typical earnings have failed to keep pace with inflation, leaving people absolutely poorer. But it also shows that this squeeze may be about to end.
Although wages might start to move back towards positive territory sometime soon, they're still well down on where they were in 2009. And in fact, wages are still back to where they were in the 2000s in terms of their overall level in real terms. And of course, you've got to remember this is average data we're looking at here. So young people have done much worse than older people. And for them in particular, the squeeze is going to continue for some time.
Before the crash, average wages typically grew at about 4% a year. You can see that here, that was well above the then rate of inflation. But that all changes in 2008 when pay fell to something like half of that, 2%. That's less than those rising prices. But look at these latest figures. Wages rose in 2013 but still failed to keep pace with inflation. But those lines are getting closer and closer together, and it's likely that right now, wages, though weak, are finally above inflation. Rebecca is a mother of 2 who works from home as a part-time PA, having been a play centre manager before her kids. Her family's pay has not kept up with rises in the cost of living, and she sees little change.
The increase on pay is a lot slower than the increase on all the other bills and groceries and fuel.
Does that make you rage against the government, or do you think it's just the way things are? Or
I think at the moment it could be a lot worse, but I do think we are managing.
Now, there's something new in today's survey on the extra pay men get. This gender pay gap has been in long-term decline. But for full-time workers, the gap between male and female wages unexpectedly went back up over the past year to 10% from 9.5% last year. Go to a nursery and you'll see why. The culprit is the fall in weekly and even hourly wages for returning mothers. Not just working fewer hours, but earning less per hour too. Like Rebecca, Anita used to work full-time in a higher paid job, this time as a teacher. After her second child, she now works as a shop assistant.
I can work as a teacher and I can't afford to pay my childcare, and even when I go to the supermarket, I can't afford the things that I need for home because I'm being paid less.
It's here in the southeast of England where pay over the past year has been flat, declining hugely in real terms, whereas it's been going up rather strongly and unexpectedly in Wales and some of the northern English regions. But the bigger picture is, of course, growth, jobs and wages to begin with higher in the southeast. And today's data can help us redraw the map of Britain with jobs and wages rather than geography determining the size of local authorities, and it looks rather lopsided. So living standards are on the turn. Not quite good news, but just maybe, on average, the end of the bad news.